Hello, it's Love Out Loud with Lisa, and I am so excited to get to spend just a few minutes with you today. Today, I wore my house dress. I love caftans. I have just come to absolutely love them. They are just the best, and you're like always sort of presentable and sort of, comfortable. I just wanted to talk to you today about something really crazy called car trouble. For some reason, Jeff and I have had tons and tons and tons of car trouble. Over the years, when we were raising our children, it was nothing for us to have a car break down or have something go wrong with it at least once every 3 months. Something like that, because we were always just kind of getting by, and we sort of still are, but we're so happy, and we were happy then, and the kids were living like they were raised in Disney World. So what I wanted to tell you about though was one specific time, and it was I was teaching, because I am a 32-year retired teacher, and I was teaching kindergarten. And in Tennessee, where we lived and where we grew up and raised our kids, they almost never have any snow, and it almost never accumulates enough to do anything. But if they even get a quarter of an inch, they call school off. Call it off. So we were at school, and supposedly we were about to get a quarter of an inch, half an inch. So they dismissed school for the day. So both of my children went to school where I taught. So we all go get in the van, the minivan, which was the law back then. Everybody had to drive a minivan. And we go get in the van, and we're like driving, and kids are so excited because it's going to be a snow afternoon. And I never, ever, ever wear appropriate footwear because I just don't really like it. Like today, I'll show you. These are my favorites. They're called Rocket Dogs. And Rocket Dogs are just stacked flip-flops. Oh my goodness, I love them so much. So anyways, I had on a pair of Rocket Dogs. Yes, that's right. Really cool stacked flip-flops on a snow day. So we get to the certain spot. We're only 1 mile away from our house. And there's a pretty steep hill. Well, everyone's just sliding off everywhere because, there's a quarter of an inch of snow. And in Tennessee, we don't drive in snow very often. So anyways, we get there, and the police are stopping everybody and making everybody just park their cars. So the kids start gathering all their stuff so that we can start to trek up this hill. It's only about 1 mile, but it's a pretty steep hill. So we're going, and the kids have got all their stuff. They've got their backpacks. They've got their after school care stuff that now they're carrying everything. And all I can think about are my toes. My feet were about to fall off. And I was like walking like, oh. And the kids were like, Mom, can't you help us carry our stuff? And I was like, no, I'm just barely making it. But what you don't know is earlier that morning, we had that old minivan, and the kids had closed my hand in the door, and it had my middle finger stuck in it, and I couldn't get them to open the door, and I was going, but I was always like that, like animated. And so they just thought I was kidding around, getting ready to go to school, and they never opened the door. I finally, after about probably 1 whole minute, but got the door open, and my finger was like really, really, really big, and like the nail part was bloody. So I can't hang it down. It hurts too bad. And I just wrapped it in a sock I had in the car and put tape around it because that's what I had. So we go to school. So now we're back. We're trying to get back home. I've got all this stuff. The kids have got all their stuff. It's barely snowing, but it is cold. And I've got this finger that I can't even bother. And I'm just going, I can't help you. I'm in so much pain with my toes and my fingers. All that. I'm not even kidding. When we finally get to our house, about a mile away. I'm sorry, 1 mile away. I ran in and I put my toes straight to the bathtub under the hot water because they hurt so bad. And my finger was throbbing and everything. So we get through that. And the next day, my son says, Mom, I need to go down. You want to walk down to the van with me? I left something there that I need. And I said, okay. He's 9 years old. So we walked the mile because, it was only 1/4 of an inch and it's all gone. And the closer we get to the van, there's like glass everywhere. And I'm like going, hey, sweetie, don't go over there, honey. I think just a little something happened. So when we get over there, it's very obvious that someone tried to either rob the van or take the van. They were probably very disappointed when it, probably didn't start. Who knows? So we get in the van and Carl's like, Mom, what is going on with all these books? All over the van. There was maybe 40 tracts, and they were about this big, and a tract is like a Christian pamphlet. And on the front, they just said, hail, hail, hail. I'm not even kidding. And they were all over the van. And I was like, well, I was going to get some little tracts that said, Jesus loves you, how to have peace with God. But I must have accidentally gotten a pack, hail, hail. And they were everywhere, all over the van. And all I could think about was, a couple of probably sweet little young men decided to see what's in that van. So they bashed the windows out. And then when they got in there was just tracts everywhere about hell and brimstone. And I looked at Carl and I said, sweetie, Mommy didn't get any of those little books, but maybe they were just thrown in here by accident so that God could help maybe a couple of young people to know that we need to get the out of here. And it might even have helped them not to do that again. So we got what Carl needed and we went home. And the next day we got the car towed because it wouldn't start. After all that, it wouldn't start. And sweeties, my son probably can't tell you 5 of the greatest Christmases he ever had. But I'll guarantee you he can tell you about the day that it snowed 1/4 of an inch, that his mom had the bad finger, that his mom had the bad toes, that the van wouldn't start, that the next day the van had glass all over it, that there was hell books all over it, and that we laughed and laughed and laughed all the way home. Sweeties, don't worry about stuff. Don't worry about car trouble. Just don't worry about stuff. The Lord will bless you, sweetie, and he'll make everything work for your good. Was that fun at the time? No. Is it hilarious to look back on? Still is. And you know what, sweetie? Maybe it did help a couple of young men who just had a bad thought that day. Just don't worry about stuff. Just be happy, be grateful, be thankful, and I promise you, if you're looking for the good, you will find it. There's a verse in Romans that just says all things work together for the good of those who love God. And sweeties, I am living proof of that. Now you go have the greatest day ever, and I will see you here next week. I will be in the Dominican Republic on a mission trip, but I'm going to post. I'm going to figure out, with some millennials' help, how to post for you. So I will see you next week. I am a short-term missionary, by the way, and I will be in the Dominican Republic in October, and Africa in November, and Romania in January, and Alaska in February. And I'm poor. But you know what, sweetie? My bank account does not determine what I'm allowed to do encouraging and helping people. that's up to the Lord, and He continues to provide. Thank you all for coming today. And remember, honey, don't worry about stuff. Just be grateful, be thankful, go forward. Have a super great day. I'll see you next week.